So Crash Team Rumble came out some time ago, and I'm not too sure how long it will have left to stay online. Yes, yet again we have another game that shows promise but came out dead on arrival. Crash Team Rumble is not like its predecessor Crash Bash, but is instead a 4v4 MOBA or multiplayer online battle arena, taking the titular Crash characters and pitting them against each other to see who can gather 2,000 Wampa Fruit before the other team does. And to be honest, the concept is spot on. You use the skills and abilities of each character to collect Wampa Fruit and place it in their bank, the main collection point, and win the game. Not bad at all, but it still looks like it's dead on arrival. I'm going to be fair though, so I will tell you more about the game before I sign off on its death certificate. So, as I said before, you gather Wampa Fruit in order to score points for your team. You have 3 roles that are unique in how they obtain their goals. Those 3 roles being scorers, blockers, and boosters. Scorers, like Crash, have the largest pocket for Wampa Fruit, having the largest cap of Wampa holding out of all the roles. They're quick, nimble, and athletic enough to speed through the arena and collect as much fruit as possible before scoring. They also have moderate strength in combat, but their main goal is to be the score gainer. This makes a lot of sense for Crash since he does love Wampa Fruit, and out of all the characters he feels the most well-rounded, even though secretly I think he's the most agile and the most athletic, seeing how he still has those speed techniques he carried over from Crash 4. Blockers are combat strong and focus on impeding the other team from scoring. Taking damage reduces the amount of fruit you have, while staying out of harm's way helps regenerate health. Blockers are usually guarding certain areas, guarding the bank, or most often guarding the opponent's bank. Their strategy is not so much as scoring as they want to beat people up on the field. Again, you lose Wampa as you take damage, and if you're a blocker, you have a lot of damage to give, like Dingodile. I love Dingodile. He spins whenever you hold his charge down, he sucks people in, he hits them with his vacuum cleaner, it's just great. But then you have Embryo, who not only has projectiles and minions and can bounce on those minions, but he also has a super armor mode, kind of a giant boss-like creature where he just goes around and beats people up. He's pretty much unstoppable, and I think he needs a nerf on that. Boosters, in my opinion, are sort of score light. They have abilities to support their team or impede the opposition. They're usually tasked with relic hunting or crystal capturing. Speaking of, there are 2 ways to bring an edge in a team's favor. One is collecting relics to activate these panels that have certain effects. These effects in each arena are always different, but with clever thinking, you can turn defensive effects into offensive ones as well. The higher the account for these effects, the stronger and more useful they may be. The crystals are a huge edge for players since they multiply the score you get for banking your fruit. It is of course all time limited, but they are just as important as scoring. This is the reason why every character can fight. Even Crash can be a bit of a handful if you find a good one online, much like myself. Players will use not only their character's abilities, but their selected power to give them an edge. These powers go from leaving a plant that acts like a turret to a giant alien that guards a specific position. You can even drop trash on a spot like a bombardment. Not sure where that came from. For me, however, my character is Crash. No surprise there. And the Fruit Builder is my go-to power for extra points. This and the Crystal Boost can land extremely high points for your team. And no matter the arena, the game plan is mostly the same. Score points, capture crystals, collect relics, and activate panels. Now, as the game sounds extremely simple, sometimes the game plan can go the other way if your team isn't pulling their weight or not doing their job. Examples like scorers who are not that aggressive and just go around trying to score instead of actually defending areas or collecting relics. It's just, you can do more than just go around and collecting Wampa Fruit and scoring. You need to participate in being aggressive just as well. Blockers who are acting like they are scorers, not collecting relics or guarding the goals, either goal, pick one please. You can guard our goal or their goal, please pick one, please be a blocker. The reason why you're called a blocker is because you're blocking people from scoring, duh. And then you have some boosters that act like they're blockers or just scorers and do nothing with the crystals and relics, which is what their role is supposed to be. And that's just playing the game. About the game, well, that's where things get a bit nuts. As fun as this game may be as a MOBA, Activision has set this game up for failure. In the first place, who of you knew that this game existed? I think for the most part, none of you even knew this game came out. There was hardly, if any, advertising for it, no upcoming showcase, and the interview was so secret that I had to go out of my way to find a proper one with the director being interviewed for this game. I mean, sure, there were YouTube videos and perhaps updates on Twitter, but who was trying to look for Crash Bandicoot in this day and age? Seriously. From what is told, Crash Team Rumble is a put-it-to-practice game after Toys for Bob was sent to make content for Call of Duty, saying that it was a learning experience for their time developing content for that game. And this wouldn't be too bad if Call of Duty wasn't already one of the most popular games in the world. Call of Duty is also a first-person shooter, something Crash Team Rumble is not. Did the letters also have to be CTR? The point is, Call of Duty makes its money from fans, a widely and already established brand that reaches all over the world, while Crash Bandicoot is pretty niche nowadays with an aging fan base, not to mention the marketing sucks compared to Call of Duty. And from what I have observed, the game is trying to mimic what Call of Duty does to its fan base, sell the game for cash, implement live service practices, and try to keep up with content every so often. Yes, I almost forgot. It is a live service game. As always, the popular premise for every game trying to make it big is to go live service, not saying the game doesn't cater to people who just want to have fun, but we're at a point where live service games can be iffy. It can work if it finds its niche, but it will die a few months later if it fails. As of now, we have live service games that have died after only a few months or a few days. Games like Rumbleverse, a battle royale fighting game that has you wrestling your way to being the last one standing. Honestly, I thought the game was pretty fun, but it died soon after because it just wasn't making any money. Knockout City was an interesting one. It was dodgeball in the most creative way it could be done. You have the mobile version of Apex Legends, which just wasn't as popular as Apex Legends on the PC or console. And then there was Multiversus shutting down, and that was a sad one because I actually liked that game, but it didn't garner enough attention. Okay, scratch that. It did garner a lot of attention, it just didn't retain it. There is so much more, and to be absolutely clear, live service isn't the problem, it's the trend within live service that game companies have come to accept as the norm for live service games. Remember, games like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, and RuneScape are live service games, and they all succeed in their own way. So no, live service games aren't the problem, the direction of the game being led by higher authority is the problem. Crash Team Rumble is yet another victim of this mindset, as the many articles talking about live service games dying due to these decisions wasn't already the warning for these kinds of games. The fact that no streamer or content creator is talking about this game is already the foot in the grave. Usually these types of games are free to play, but remember, since Rumble costs money, the population will be really low. I have proof of this. So as I've been regularly playing this game, you get names like this at level 1, seeing them do absolutely nothing while in game. These are bot players, and they show up when there is no one to fill a spot, and it happens all the time. If enough players were in Crash Team Rumble, we wouldn't have these bots. My guess? Very low population. I'm kind of surprised that Activision even allowed this game to exist, seeing how no advertisement was made to promote its release. Not that it mattered, since it was released 3 days before Final Fantasy XVI, and I still don't know what exactly were they thinking when they made that decision. I don't know who in the office or the board meeting was thinking, maybe we should release this 3 days before a very popular and titular game that has a number on it is going to come out and possibly take the whole entire month of every gamer out there. I mean, when they talked about Crash Team Rumble, they talked about a MOBA that would be a fun little side project for Toys for Bob. And seeing how Toys for Bob made Crash 4, which, as good as it was, didn't break any sales records, but was still a good time, I was hoping they would go more into Rumble. But like I said, after that interview, a few months later, we hear nothing. No news, no update, no hype. Not even a Twitter post. Well, there were some Twitter posts, but they were mostly ignored. Sure, now that the game is out, they post updates all the time on Twitter, but that's not going to help the game grow. Let's take Fortnite, for example. It got lucky due to how fun the free Battle Royale mode was. It was initially a build-a-fort tower defense, but now look at it. Free content every so-and-so, cameos from all over, not to mention they make changes if they have to, with a pretty fair battle pass. Speaking of, Rumble has a battle pass. Now, for those of you who are developing games and are thinking about implementing a battle pass, do not make the battle pass the main premise of your game. Do not make it the focus. don't do that. I've complained about battle passes in the past, and yes, I will admit that Fortnite has one of the better battle passes that we have in gaming today, since it has in-game currency for you to buy the next battle pass, and it has a lot of stuff in it. But I also disagree with it, because a lot of games that do have battle passes in it will focus on that. It'll only focus on the reward. It is that linchpin that makes people keep playing the game. As long as you're playing the game and gaining more reward and levels with this battle pass, it keeps you within the game, and I don't want to play a game for the reward of some frivolous bullcrap that is only cosmetic. I'm pretty old school. I like playing the games for the games themselves, and any reward that I get should feel fulfilling, like getting a rare mount in any MMO, or finding a cool weapon in any Elder Scrolls, or finding something that's useful that isn't just cosmetic, like I said before. Though nothing is wrong with a cosmetic reward, it just doesn't feel as fulfilling as finding a badass blade that ups your power by 50%. Fortunately, however, Rumble's Battle Pass isn't some progressive system with two different lines to level up, one being free and the other being paid to access. It's just one long line that progresses as you play the game. But, unfortunately, it would seem you can pay some cash to get ahead. I myself paid to just see how far you can go with this, and I think you can get up to level 28 or level 26. I don't remember. Y'all know how I feel about paid progression. I don't like it, but fortunately, I don't think you get any kind of advantage when you do that. You still have to play the game to get the characters and the power-ups. And yes, the battle pass isn't bad, but nonetheless, it's one of the hooks that keep you playing Crash Team Rumble. But I will still be honest, the gameplay is really fun. It's really good. I just wish it didn't take 5 minutes to get there. And what do I mean by that? Well, Rumble takes an extremely long time to get into one game. You need to load into matchmaking, which can take up to 2 minutes, select your loadout, which takes a minute to do, potentially 2 more minutes, usually 1, to load up the game. It takes way too damn long. Not to mention, after a game, you have to wait 1 whole minute to do another loadout and another minute for the game to load. Gamers are some of the most impatient sorts you can ever handle. You'd think they just wait for a game every 2 to 5 minutes, right? Nah, they'll leave faster than the next game could even get started. Not to mention, the content right now will only last for so long, with so little characters to play with, so little number of maps to play on, so little amount of powers, and having a long queue for each game, plus the already low population, which leads to bots. Yeah, Crash Team Rumble is already 1 foot in the grave. That is, unless they do something about it. First off, this is Activision Blizzard. They have billions of dollars of resources they can use and ask for in order to make this game more successful. Maybe more marketing and some deals with streamers and content creators, add spots in notable places online, have more videos and events with the Toys for Bob staff, have Crash show up in other games, or have other game characters show up in Rumble, like Spyro or any Blizzard character. Crash himself is not as popular as he was back in the good old days, and we have to admit that. I honestly think the game is half finished in terms of content. Skins and getups will only go so far. You need more stuff to do, more characters, more arenas. Yeah, I know Ripperoo is here and obtaining characters is easy, but it's not enough. This game feels like it was heavily budgeted, and all the budget went into making the game feeling a lot of fun in terms of the gameplay, which, by the way, I wholeheartedly respect. But some of that budget should have went into the marketing for this damn thing. All in all, I think this game is doomed to fail like all the other live service games. But who's to say that I'm right or wrong? What do you guys think out there? Do you think Crash Team Rumble is going to fail maybe 3 months down the line? Do you even know what Crash Team Rumble is? And in what way do you think this game can be saved? Or is it just doomed? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like what you saw today, please sub to the channel. I'm going to be making more videos like this on a regular basis. And hopefully, we can save Crash Team Rumble, because I really don't want to see that game die. It's actually pretty fun.